It's time now for Candid Carroll. That's our weekly segment with host of The Morning Rush on 580 CFRA News Talk Radio, Bill Carroll. Good morning, Bill. Happy Wednesday.
Hey, guys. Good to see you this morning.
All right, Bill, good to see you. Let's talk about this week. Affordability, we talk about it almost, for 4 hours every morning, except when it snows.
That's a word made up by Democrats in the U.S.,
That's right. We've heard that live from south of the border, indeed. But on this side of the border, we just had an interesting announcement earlier this week, Bill. A GST grocery rebate announced. Some people suggesting that this is not really going to do enough. What are your thoughts on this to sort of try to get the cost at least down a little? Or is this kind of just window dressing for a different audience?
Yeah, sometimes people are smarter than I give them credit for. The response to this is not what I thought it would be. Listen, somebody wants to hand you hundreds of dollars, almost $1,000. You think people would be grateful, and I think many people are. But the response I'm getting from most people is, yeah, well, that'll help for now. But this has been a problem for years.
Yeah.
How do you help it long term? It doesn't feel like the government has a winner here. They need to fix the problem long term, because this will buy you a couple of months of groceries, but we all know the price of food. If you live in Toronto, you're talking about this week probably the snow, but traffic first. I bet you second is not tariffs. It's traffic and then affordability at the grocery store. The price of food is outrageous. And, I think at least there's a nod to some money going to the long-term problem. But he's not very clear, the prime minister, about how he wants to spend this. And that's where the problem really lies. We have a lack of competition. We have too much regulation. Those things need to be fixed long term. The prime minister was bragging in Davos that we've broken those trade barriers interprovincially, but it's not true. There's still many interprovincial trade barriers, and they add to the cost of food. So people want real long-term solutions here.
Yeah, and, handing them a GST check for groceries, a one-time thing, seems like a Band-Aid solution. But it sounds like, this thing has been a problem for a while. It doesn't look like it's going to get any better. Buying beef all-time high. People don't tend to change their shopping habits. So long-term, where do you see the solution, especially when a lot of this is kind of blamed on climate change, our trade situation with the U.S.? Can the government do more? Or are we all kind of, out of luck right now?
Yeah, we can't say we're out of luck. You can't say this is not just tariffs. But look, they have tariffs in the U.S. That's where the consumers are feeling the direct effects, prices being pushed up. And yet most months recently, their inflation on food is half of what ours is. No, this is a Canadian problem made by Canadian governments, not helped by the last 10 years of Liberal government. The Globe and Mail made a great point this morning. They said, Carney's a little different from Trudeau, but there's still some bad spending habits here. You don't want to add to inflation by keep cutting checks for people and making the debt worse. I have this image of Mark Carney in his office because he just had a budget a couple of months ago. This money, $11 billion, wasn't accounted for in the budget. Where is it going to come from? He's not raising taxes. He's not making further cuts to government. He must have looked around in the desk and said, where did Justin leave the Canada credit card? Where's that credit card? We'll just put it there. That can't be the long-term answer. We can't keep going into debt. That just makes prices higher in the long run.
All right, that is certainly Candid Carroll. Bill Carroll joining us live again this morning, looking for his credit card. If you find mine, please don't use it. Okay, Bill Carroll, we'll see you next week.
We get the bills, though, guys.
That's true.
He spends the money, we get the bills.